On this edition of Lexington Now, Be the Change, the mayor's proposed budget, and Freaky Fridays. I'm Neil Noah. Welcome to Lexington Now for the week of April 29th, 2024. Lexington has announced its Be the Change scholarship winners. We were there for the announcement.
As we all know, the city's One Lexington program is doing really great things for our community. Dedicated to reducing violence in our neighborhoods across Lexington, Divine Karama, Kenneth Payne, and Larry Johnson work each day and every day with our youth and their families, providing support, resources, and opportunities to thrive. And today is no different. With the amazing support of Gulls and Central Bank, we are announcing two winners of the 2024 Be the Change Scholarship. This scholarship, currently open to Bryan Station High School seniors of color, is committed to providing financial support to those wishing to pursue a career in a criminal justice or related public safety field. This year's recipients are Michelle Moore and Aline Sandoval Cano.
As many of you know, 2020 really kind of ignited or reignited a revolution. Because of the loss of several people of color at the hands of law enforcement, some other incidents within our country, we were all kind of trapped inside and kind of watching news on this 24-hour news loop. It kind of forced us as a country to kind of look at ourselves and try to figure out a way that we could perfect and better ourselves. And so in that spirit, we want to encourage our young people to continue using their voice, to speak about the importance of equity, diversity, being inclusive, but that's only one part of it. In meeting with Justin, he agreed with the One Lex staff that the other side of that is similar to a Dr. Martin Luther King, who was leading protests, leading sit-ins, but he was also behind the scenes having conversations with lawmakers and even in the White House. So it's that duality of the fight that we want to encourage our young people to get involved in, not just use your voice, not just protest some of the things that you see, but also how can you be a part of the change? How can you be the change? How can you infiltrate these systems that you feel have disparities and inequities and actually be what it is that you want to see?
I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who has given me the opportunity to get this scholarship. It will be a huge help in my educational journey to become a nurse and work with our community and healing our community. That's honestly, this is just such an exciting thing. When I first found out I got this scholarship, I was just out of practice and I read the text and I started screaming. So, it was truly a very exciting moment for me, and I just want to say thank you again for everybody who has given me this opportunity.
I would like to thank everyone who gave me the opportunity to receive this scholarship. It will greatly benefit me in continuing my studies in the criminal justice psychology major. And when I found out that I earned the scholarship, I ran around the house. But I'd like to thank everyone and the support of my parents and my family, and yeah, thank you.
We continue our closer look at Mayor Gorton's proposed budget for the coming fiscal year. Here's part two.
Let's talk a minute about the ways I'm managing our money in this plan. First, I have right-sized operating expenses across government. In recent years, many government divisions have not used all of their operating funds, so we worked with them to reduce their requests. Second, we have been strict across the board about not increasing recurring expenses in our general fund, keeping an eye on the impact on next year's budget. For example, I have only added 15 new employees in this budget plan. Third, we have carefully avoided funding recurring expenses with one-time money. That's just kind of money management 101. We use one-time money for one-time expenses. And one last point about our financial resources. In this budget plan, we will continue our regular monthly contributions to our rainy day fund, amounting to $600,000 in this budget. Currently, our rainy day fund set aside for emergencies stands at almost $40 million.
After this message, we'll take you to the Kentucky Theater.
Hello everyone, I'm Tiffany Brown, Equity and Implementation Officer in the Mayor's Office and Chair of the A Sense of Place Committee. I'm here today to talk about A Sense of Place, an initiative dedicated to preserving the history of Lexington's rural Black hamlets and celebrating those that remain active today. More than 20 historic Black hamlets have been identified in Fayette County. Most are located in rural areas. Our historic hamlets have been and are home to generations of lived experiences, traditions, and culture. Houses, churches, schools, grocery stores, agricultural enterprises, and lodge halls for community gatherings were found in many hamlets. A Sense of Place is a partnership between community members with direct connection to our hamlets and the city of Lexington. Its goal is to raise awareness about what the hamlets represent and to identify steps that are needed to take to preserve their history. The A Sense of Place committee includes local historian Yvonne Giles, local historian Calvin Graves, Executive Director of the Lexington History Museum Mandy Higgins, Cadentown resident Dr. Alvin Seals, Cadentown Baptist Church pastor Reverend Leon Slatter, and others. With support from members of the Cadentown community, A Sense of Place is currently raising funds for maintenance updates and programming of the Cadentown Rosenwald School and property located at 705 Caden Lane. In the early 2000s, members of the Cadentown community worked with the city to preserve the school. In the early 20th century, Rosenwald schools were found across the South, serving rural Black children and families during segregation. Many of the buildings have been destroyed. Lexington is proud that the Cadentown School still stands and wants to preserve the history and significance that so many of these schools have had in our hamlet communities. The funds will complete the restoration of the school and upgrade the historic cemetery and church building. The school will permanently house artifacts that tell the story of Lexington's hamlet. We hope you will join us.
Welcome back to Lexington Now. The Kentucky Theater's Freaky Friday film series is back for those who are fans of quirky cinema. Here's a glimpse at what you have to look forward to.
My name is Max Morris. I'm the programming coordinator and film programmer here at the Kentucky Theater, which basically what that means is most of the film selection, both the newer films and the older films, is mostly the work I do here. Going into our second round of Freaky Fridays after a very successful first year, and so yeah, should be starting next Friday, April 19th, with Holy Mountains, the first of this round of movies. And yeah, when it comes to these Freaky Friday movies, I kind of like, because the thing that makes repertory programming kind of difficult sometimes is most of these movies, unlike new movies, it's one you can find anywhere pretty much on streaming, video or stuff. So I tried to pick movies that I think will provide really fun kind of crowd communal experiences for a lot of these sort of cult movies, you know. So whether it's something really shocking or something funny or something action-packed, I like to pick movies that really go for a good crowd experience that way to kind of give a benefit over watching them at home. We do kind of cult or midnight movies is kind of what we do generally, but it's everything from like Daisies, it's like a Czech art house movie, to Miss 45, which is a sort of violent revenge movie, anything to Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which is just kind of a crazy campy comedy. So yeah, it really runs the gamut as far as genre goes. The Kentucky Theater has a very rich history from even back to the 70s, 80s as far as doing like midnight cult films. It was kind of something the theater built a legacy on, starting even back in the 70s, showing these sort of cult midnight movies, and people would come out late. It'd be sort of a very kind of rowdy crowd experience and a lot of fun. And I mean, we always have done Rocky Horror. It's kind of always been a signature of the theater. Every month, last Saturday, we do Rocky Horror, and we've even had sellout shows in the 800-seat theater for that. So yeah, these cult midnight movies have always been a big part of the theater's identity, and that's why we decided when this new management group took over the theater that I'm a part of about 2 years ago at this point, we decided we'd start doing kind of a planned monthly cult film series, and that's what Freaky Fridays has been. So yeah, this is just the second year of Freaky Fridays, but cult film definitely has a rich history here in the Kentucky Theater. The kind of work is like almost year-round, where I'll just kind of watch movies at home or hear about movies, and I'll take note of them. So I have a very long kind of short list I work from of cult movies all year round, and then whenever it comes around to actually picking the movies, I'll have to, because sometimes with some of these cult films, if they're really obscure, they can be hard as far as finding rights or availability. So I'll usually have a really long list, try to find the availability on all of those, and then the actual film selection process is usually just about a month of research and stuff, but it's really a year-round job as far as just keeping an eye out for stuff that I think will be good for the series. KentuckyTheater.org is our website, and that's theater with an R-E at the end, and should be a page for Freaky Fridays, and we'll keep that running pretty much all the time, because every year we're going to refresh with new Freaky Friday picks. But yeah, KentuckyTheater.org is our website, and that's where you can find all the Freaky Friday movies, and tickets should be on sale for all of them year-round, even if you want one for one even early next year. It's never too early to buy tickets, just if you want to reserve your spot. But yeah, KentuckyTheater.org is where you can find any information on that and all kinds of other cool stuff we have coming up. Usually for repertory, we keep it a little cheaper than our regular tickets. So yeah, $6.50 each for all the tickets for Freaky Fridays all year round. It really varies based on the movie, but I would say generally we get a very it's an interesting audience. You get a lot of older audience who have been regulars at the theater since the 80s, 70s, when I said this kind of tradition started of these late night cult movies. So you get kind of that audience. Then you have a lot of UK students. I think with the really Freaky Friday, it's really had a young audience, which is good because we've really kind of expanded. A lot of people coming to Freaky Friday, they'll say, oh, this is my first time at the theater. This is my first time seeing this movie that's one of my favorites on the big screen. So yeah, it's an interesting mix, but I would say it leans towards college age, and UK students tend to be kind of our biggest audience for a lot of those cult movies. Phantom of the Paradise is definitely one of my favorites. It's a Brian De Palma kind of a campy musical with Paul Williams. I'm a big fan of like 70s kitsch, and that movie scratches all the right spots as far as that goes. Yeah, and really love that one. And then I really love Spring Breakers too. Harmony Korine, I'm a big fan of his work, and if you've never seen the movie and just kind of seen the trailers and the posters, it's won't spoil anything, but it's definitely not what you'd expect. So yeah, I definitely would recommend that one. But yeah, I love pretty much all of these ones. I'm really happy with this selection, but I'd say if I had to pick a few favorites, yeah, Phantom of the Paradise and Spring Breakers I'm probably most excited for. Thank you to everybody that supported this series so far. If anybody's come out, and if you haven't come out, I definitely recommend checking it out, because it's always really fun movies, really fun crowds, and yeah, just really excited to get, again, I do most of the programming here, but this is kind of my favorite series of everything we do, just because it's always been the type of movies that I've drawn to, the kind of things that I really got into the theater going experience for. So yeah, just everybody that has come out for these Freaky Fridays, thank you for coming out, and anybody that hasn't, I definitely recommend checking it out. Holy Mountains, the April 19th, starting out there, and that's definitely got some really amazing images that are going to look great on the big screen. It's a 4K new remaster, so yeah, just definitely would recommend checking these out. If you haven't been to the theater, and be a great time to see it first. If you have been to the theater, it's definitely a fun audience. So yeah, just thank you everybody for supporting, and please keep coming out for these. 10 o'clock, it's the third Friday of every month, and yeah, always a fun time.
Spring is well underway, and it's the time of year when weather can be at its most volatile. Emily Fay of Emergency Management tells us how to prepare for severe spring weather.
They say April showers bring May flowers, but they also bring severe storms, and with that, severe storm damage. So last week we had a severe storm roll through Lexington area, and we were hit with straight line winds. I believe the National Weather Service said it was between 85 to 95 miles per hour winds, which caused a lot of damage. So what we want people to know and understand is that it's time to be prepared for those things. Having an emergency plan and having an emergency kit are some of the most important things you can do before a storm hits. So for an emergency plan, let's say for a family of 4, that would include where you're going to go if you can't stay at your house, where you're sheltering your house if it's a severe storm, let's say thunder, lightning, or a tornado shelter within your house, usually an interior room or closet, bathroom, and any other planning you would need to do to take care of your family. So those with young children would have diapers and toys and extra clothes. Those with older children might have books and homework and things to keep them entertained. If you're a family that includes taking care of an elderly person, you want to make sure you have their medications, medical records, and any other medical devices they need to keep them going. The best time to prepare for a new emergency happening or another weather event is right after one has just occurred. So you may have had your supplies ready, but now it's time to refresh. And it's time to think about what you might need in the next time this happens. So it's a blue sky day. You don't want to think about something bad happening, but weather is unpredictable and we need to be prepared. So now's the time to sit down and go, okay, we didn't have power. What do we do about food? How do we get our medications refilled? Did our pets have enough food? How much do we need to keep in spare? And just make a list and check it off as you go. It doesn't have to be done all in one Saturday afternoon. You can spread out over a month, make a weekly checklist, and just build your kit back up. It's always good to keep that emergency supply kit in something waterproof, like a Rubbermaid tote or a waterproof backpack. They even make 5-gallon buckets you can cinch up, and now you have a way to carry water as well. Just do what works for your family, but it's important to do it. So every emergency kit will vary by family based on that specific family's needs. But in general, you should have enough non-perishable food and bottled water for 3 days per person. So a family of 4 servings a day per meal per person. And you'll also need to have a first aid kit, medical supplies, prescriptions for your family, blankets, flashlights, extra batteries, a weather radio with extra batteries. Make sure all of your emergency electronics are battery powered so that you can switch those out and still use them when the light goes out. If your family includes pets, if you have a cat or a dog, parakeet, you want to include them in your emergency plan, making sure you have food and water for them, about 1 gallon a day for dogs and cats, depending on the size. Obviously, Great Danes are going to need more water than Chihuahuas, but making sure you have that with you, an extra leash, a collar, any medications they may take, toys to keep them occupied. Pets get stressed too. You want to keep those anxiety levels down, and everybody loves a good toy. And making sure that you're prepared to bring them with you and that they're a part of your emergency plan. So where you go when you evacuate because your house is flooding needs to include a safe place for your dog or cat or parakeet to go with you. I would keep your emergency kit somewhere you can easily access it. Some people keep it in a utility closet or a linen closet. I know mine personally is tucked in the back of the pantry in my house. Ideally, we would suggest people check their emergency kits once a month, make sure your food's in date, nothing's gone bad, your medications like Tylenol, Advil are still good, and that nothing has been worn apart with age. However, if you can't do that, if it's just a little too daunting, you can always do it by season, so spring, summer, winter, fall, which is a good idea to check to replace those emergency clothings because you need different stuff in the winter than you do need in the summer. So if you have to be out in severe weather, obviously it's best to stay safe. So depending on your severe weather, thunder, lightning, those actions are going to differ. Stay aware of your surroundings, keep a way to have emergency alerts, weather alerts if you're going to be outside, and above all, take care of yourself and those who are with you. A watch and a warning constantly issued by the National Weather Service or other local alerting agencies sound very the same. You've got a watch, you've got a warning, but the difference is sometimes confusing. So a watch is when a weather event may happen. The possibilities are there, you have all the ingredients, but it's not yet happening. Whereas a warning is when all of those pieces have come together and it's either going to happen or already has happened. So if you think about it in terms of tacos, a watch is when you have all of your taco ingredients laid out in front of you, but you have not combined it. A warning, on the other hand, is when you've taken all of those ingredients and put them into your taco shell, and now you have a taco. The best way to be prepared is to stay notified, whether that be having a weather radio or getting your emergency alerts following local news outlets, just to make sure that you have that information coming in when you need it. If you live within Lexington, Fayette County, you can sign up for Lex Alerts on our website, BeReadyLexington.com, and opt into weather notifications and any other type of notifications we offer to be alerted when something happens. And it's a free service that sends a notification via text, phone call, to a landline, even an email when they're ready to go out.
There are several televised live meetings we're bringing to you this week here on Lex TV and streaming on our website. And remember, you can find all the most accurate and up-to-date information on all city business at lexingtonky.gov. Here's this week's meeting coverage. That's all for now, but as always, you can keep up with us on social media. Check out the latest traffic updates on X at LexRex, or catch our live traffic cams on lexingtonky.gov. For all of us at Lex TV, I'm Neil Noah, and that's it.